Hello everybody, I always feel so excited to be in this video to talk about the basic medical sciences. So it's always a thing of joy for me, so I find it so exciting and fascinating. My name is Joseph Mwachi Aga. So I'm a YouTuber from Nigeria. So please, if you are new to my channel, just support me by subscribing. And if you're an old subscriber, I'm always very grateful. I'm very grateful for your constant support. So in this particular video, we're going to talk about the mode of action of growth hormone. In our previous video, we talked about the hormone secreted by the anterior pituitary gland. Alright, so please, if you've not seen the video, I encourage you to do so. Though I will drop the link. The link will drop a few seconds from now. So just follow the link and scan through it so that you understand what we are talking about. Okay, so the growth hormones act through somatomedins, and somatomedins is secreted in the liver. A condition could arise which is known as dwarfism. Though the growth hormone is still secreted in its right amount in the body, there could still be dwarfism. So this could be as a result of deficiency of somatomedins. Okay, so let's talk about the somatomedins a little bit. Okay, the somatomedins is a polypeptide which is secreted in the liver. It has a molecular weight of 7,500. All right, and the somatomedins is of two types. Okay, we have the insulin-like growth hormone factor 1, which is also known as Somatomedin C, and insulin-like growth hormone factor 2. Alright, so the insulin-like growth hormone factor 1, which is Somatomedin C, acts on the bones and protein metabolism, whereas the insulin-like growth hormone factor 2 acts in fetus growth. Alright, so that is for the somatomedins. So let's now go straight and talk about the half-life of these somatomedins, the duration of its action, and that of the growth hormone. Like we said in our previous video, the duration of growth hormone is about 20 minutes. Alright, and that of somatomedins is about 2 hours. The reason for this difference in duration is because the somatomedins binds tightly to the plasma proteins, which helps in conveying it to the target point of action, whereas for growth hormones it binds lightly to the plasma proteins, and when it is being conveyed to the target point, it is released immediately, unlike somatomedin that is bound tightly. So once it gets to the target cell, it is being released gradually. Okay, so for growth hormones it lasts only for about 20 minutes, and for somatomedins it acts for about 20 hours. Okay, it lasts for about 20 hours. That is the durations, okay, of these hormones, of growth hormones and somatomedin C. Another important thing that we want to talk about now is the mode of action of this somatomedin C. Okay, its mode of action is through the second messenger known as the cyclic AMP. Okay, it is of importance that you go back and check also the mechanism of action of hormone. The video and the link to the video will soon drop, so just go and scan through the video, look at it, so that you'll be able to understand the mechanisms of actions of hormone. Okay, so let's now go straight and talk about growth hormone receptors. Okay, the growth hormone receptors is known as growth hormone secretage. Okay, it is a transmembrane receptor that is of cytokine family. It is situated in the cell. Okay, and once growth hormones binds to this growth hormone receptor secretage, it forms a hormone receptor complex, which now activates the intracellular enzymes in the cell that brings about the secretion of the somatomedins. Remember that all this is taking place in the liver cell because that is where the somatomedins is secreted. Alright, so the somatomedins on its own now does what? Executes the action of growth hormones. Now let's now talk about the regulation of growth hormone secretion. Okay, so the growth hormone secretion is primarily regulated by the hypothalamus and also by feedback mechanism. Okay, so let's now talk about some of the things that activate or promote the secretion of growth hormone and some that inhibit the secretion of growth hormones. Okay, one of the things that promotes or that activates the secretion of growth hormone is hypoglycemia. Another one is starvation. Starvation and fasting also increases the secretion of growth hormone. Okay, from all this you get to understand that any condition that tends to reduce the amount of sugar in the blood happens to do what? To stimulate the increase in secretion of growth hormone. Then for the factors that decrease the secretion of growth hormone in the body, it is hyperglycemia, okay, a condition whereby there is increase in blood sugar level. Okay, it inhibits the secretion of growth hormone, and also increase in fatty acid in the bloodstream also inhibits the secretion of growth hormones. That is for what? Some of the factors that affect the secretion of growth hormones. Now let's talk about the roles of hypothalamus in the secretion of growth hormone. Like we said earlier, the hypothalamus plays an important role in the secretion of growth hormones. Okay, so the hypothalamus regulates the secretion of growth hormone through hormones. Okay, the hypothalamus does this by secreting growth hormone releasing hormone, growth hormone releasing polypeptide, and growth hormone inhibitory hormones. The growth hormone releasing hormones stimulates the release of growth hormone from the anterior pituitary gland, whereas the growth hormone releasing polypeptide stimulates the release of growth hormone releasing hormone from the hypothalamus and the release of growth hormone from anterior pituitary gland. Then for growth hormone inhibitory hormone, the growth hormone inhibitory hormone, also known as the somatostatin, inhibits the release of growth hormone from the anterior pituitary gland. Alright, so that is for the hormones that hypothalamus secretes that brings about the regulation of growth hormone secretion. Now let's talk about feedback mechanism of growth hormone. Okay, the hormones of the hypothalamus, which are the growth hormone releasing hormones, growth hormones releasing polypeptide, and growth hormone inhibitory hormones, are being transported to the anterior pituitary gland through hypothalamo-hypophyseal portal blood vessel. Okay, so when the growth hormone releasing hormone from the hypothalamus is released, it acts on the anterior pituitary gland and causes it to release the growth hormones. Okay, once the growth hormone is released, it acts on various cells, and these cells include the liver cells. Okay, as the growth hormone acts on the liver cells, it also stimulates the liver cell to do what? To produce Somatomedin C. Okay, remember the Somatomedin C, the polypeptide that helps in the action of growth hormone. Okay, so once the Somatomedin C is produced, it will now do what? It will now lead to the activation of the release of growth hormone inhibitory hormone from the hypothalamus. The growth hormone inhibitory hormones therefore now causes the inhibition of growth hormone from the anterior pituitary gland, and also causes the inhibition of growth hormone releasing polypeptide from the hypothalamus. Alright, also the growth hormone on its own also inhibits its own secretion, known as a short loop feedback. Okay, a short loop feedback is just a condition whereby it just a feedback mechanism in which the growth hormone activates the release of growth hormone inhibitory hormone, and it brings about the inhibition of the anterior pituitary gland from releasing growth hormones. Whenever the blood level of growth hormone decreases, the hypothalamus is stimulated. The hypothalamus releases the growth hormone releasing hormone, which acts on the anterior pituitary gland to release growth hormone. Okay, that is for the feedback mechanism of growth hormone. So let's now talk about other hormones of the anterior pituitary gland. Some of the hormones are the thyroid stimulating hormones, the follicle stimulating hormones, the luteinizing hormones, the beta lipotropins, and the prolactin. Okay, these are the hormones, other hormones secreted by the anterior pituitary gland. The thyroid stimulating hormones act on the thyroid gland. Okay, it acts on the growth of the cells of the thyroid gland and also in the secretory activities. Whereas another hormone is the adrenocorticotropic hormones. Adrenocorticotropic hormones act in the maintaining the integrity of the adrenal cortex and as well stimulates the secretory activities of the adrenal cortex. For the follicle stimulating hormone, the follicle stimulating hormone is a glycoprotein. Okay, it is made up of alpha subunit and beta subunit. For the alpha subunit, it has 92 amino acids, and for the beta subunit, it has 118 amino acids. It has a half-life of 3 to 4 hours. Okay, that is for the follicle stimulating hormone. Let's now talk about its action on male and also in female. For male, it acts alongside with the testosterone to bring about spermatogenesis. All right. For females, the follicle stimulating hormones act on the primordial follicle. It leads to the formation of Graafian follicle from the primordial follicle. All right, and it also acts on the thecal cells of the Graafian follicle to produce estrogens. The follicle stimulating hormones also causes aromatase activity of the granulosa cells, and this aromatase activity of the granulosa cell brings about the conversion of the androgen into estrogens. That is for what? That is for the follicle stimulating hormone. So let's now go straight and talk about the luteinizing hormones. The luteinizing hormone is also a glycoprotein made up of alpha subunit and beta subunit. For the alpha subunit, it has 92 amino acids, and for the beta subunit, it has 141 amino acids. Okay, it has a half-life of 60 minutes, which is what, 1 hour. Okay, the half-life is around 1 hour. Then let's talk about its action on male and also its action on female. Okay, its action on male is that the luteinizing hormone is known as the interstitial cell stimulating hormone in male. Right? Note this, it is known as the interstitial cell stimulating hormones in male. The reason why it is known as the interstitial cell stimulating hormones is because it acts on the interstitial cells of Leydig, which bring about the production of testosterone. Okay, stimulate the interstitial cells of Leydig of the testes to produce testosterone. That is its action on what? On the male. Then let's now talk about the action of luteinizing hormones on the female. In females, the luteinizing hormone brings about the formation of corpus luteum. All right, and not only the formation of corpus luteum, it also brings about ovulation. So the luteinizing hormone also brings about the activation of corpus luteum, okay, for it to start its secretory activities. Now let's talk about the lipotropins, beta lipotropins. Beta lipotropins is a glycoprotein that has it has 31 amino acid. Okay, it brings about lipolysis through mobilization of fat from the adipose tissue, and it also forms the precursor of endorphins. Okay, now the last but not the least is the prolactin. The prolactin is just concerned with milk secretion. It acts on the epithelial cells that surrounds the alveolar cells of the mammary gland to bring about, the secretion of milk. So guys, I'm so happy that you guys, listened and watched this video to this extent. it's a thing of joy for me. I find it so exciting to always come to you people, to appear before you and talk about all these basic medical sciences, medical terms, medical related courses, and about life entirely. So it's a thing of joy for me. It's something that I derive so much pleasure in doing. So that is why, at least once a week, I will just have to come around and we'll talk about all these things. So thank you so much for supporting my passion of talking about basic medical sciences by subscribing to my YouTube channel, and also encourage others to do so. And to end the video for today, I will always advise my subscribers to always do the right thing, to do things that will make the world a better place. We are in a difficult period now, so as a human beings, we just have to do our best by making the world a better place. Like I will always say, you don't need to do much things, just small things, little things can make the world a better place. By keeping to your words, stick to your words. When you say something, mean it, okay? And it should always be, when you say something reasonable, something positive, okay? Not negative things that will, make the people around you better people. All right, so always do the right thing and always try to help the people around you. God bless you. God got you. Peace.